What's up, military millionaires? Today is video 4 of the Asking Real Estate and YouTube Rockstars important questions about getting started in real estate. Today's question is, how would you approach a real estate rock star with value when it doesn't look like they need anything? So think about it this way, right? If you were going to try to walk up to, well, we'll say Donald Trump in the real estate world, but you know, there's some polarization around that. So let's say you wanted to walk up to Grant Cardone, right? Or I don't know, name whoever you want to name that's huge in the real estate space. How would you make an impression in such a way that you could actually have that conversation and try to add value to their life, right? Because you can't just run around and be like, will you be my mentor? Because they're gonna be like, yeah, sure, I've got this really expensive course you can do. So this is answering that question, which I think a lot of people struggle with. In fact, I know it because I get the will you be my mentor question a lot from people, and I'm like, hi, I'm David, like I don't even know you, So check this out and take some of this into effect, because some of the guys answering these questions are those rock stars that might appear difficult to approach, but really they're not. So we're gonna lead it off with Felix, as we have been.
How do you approach a rockstar real estate investor who seems to have everything they need? Well, this happens to me every day. There's people that approach me and they ask me for help, and I happily help them. There's people that reach out and then they say, hey, well, how can I help you in return? And that's a very difficult thing because, well, I need things that aren't always easily extracted from somebody who's brand new. And a lot of people find themselves in this situation. So what I'll tell you is, I do not think, as it commonly seems on the internet, that mentorship and this type of thing is truly an exchange of value. I don't believe that. I don't believe that that's why people help new beginning real estate investors. It's not because they have a trade of value. It's because good real estate investors want to invest in good investments. That's it. So be a good investment. And what I mean by that is, if you come to me and you say, hey, how can I help? Well, I need you to succeed. I need you to succeed so well that you get so good that I can ride your coattails later. I'm going to help you do that if I think that that's the case. If I think that you're going to be a rock star, I'm going to help you become that as much as I possibly can, with nothing in return, because I know that people are just a good damn investment. So if you see a rock star investor that you want to approach and you don't have anything of value, first, start a relationship, because everybody wants to invest in good relationships. Second, show them that you're a good investment. Read, spend time showing meetups, help other people, get your hands dirty, add labor if you can, get experience, be a good investment. Show them that you're playing the long game. Show them that you're serious, and show them that you're gonna commit, and then people will invest in you happily, even if you have nothing to add at the time, because like I said, good investors know what a good investment is. Be a good investment.
I really like Alex's take here, being a good investment. I think people get wrapped around so much like, how can I get this mentorship from them? And the reality is, like Alex said, I want to invest in good investments, and so you need to be a good investment. I say this all the time in a different way. I say just be a good person, right? But be a good investment, be a sponge. So a prime example of this, and someone told me this in my personal life, was that the reason Rockstar was willing to talk to me and help me is because when he had given me advice, I took it and I ran with it. And so what I say there is, like, if you want to approach someone like Alex, and you ask them for advice and he gives you advice, and then you don't do anything about it and you come back with the same problem, you think they're going to continue to, like, how long is that going to go on until they stop giving you advice? Because they're like, well, he doesn't listen to any of my advice. Why would I waste my time telling it? But if you go and ask for advice and then you're like, I'm going to try to implement that. Maybe you don't know how, but you try to implement it. And even if you try and fail, at least it's like, hey, I tried this. What else you got? But if you don't try the advice that they're giving, so take action on what you ask and be a sponge. Be a good investment. Now we're up with Mr. Carson.
Let's say you want to reach out to somebody who you really respect in the real estate investing business, but they seem to have everything they need and they seem to be really busy. What would you have to offer to this person who doesn't know you from Adam, and you're just trying to reach out to them? So I want to tell you a story about somebody who reached out to me online and demonstrated a principle that I think will help you if you're trying to reach out to other people. So this guy named Julian was on my social media feed. He followed me on social media like Twitter and Instagram, and I didn't know him, but every once in a while he would start posting things that he was reading from my blog. So he was studying my blog articles, and he would post quotes from my articles, and he would share them on his Twitter feed, and then he would always tag me in there. And this happened repeatedly. I don't even know when I first started noticing it, but he would do it again and do it again. And the thing that I noticed about Julian Number one, that he was a learner. He was reading my articles, and I happen to provide education information online, and he was condensing it and translating it, making it applicable in a new way from the way I was providing it. And it demonstrated to me that he was himself absorbing the information and learning it. And it also demonstrated that he understood the direction I was going with what was important to me, which was educating people, was helping people out. And so he was going the direction I was already going, and he caught my attention. And that's the lesson I want to leave with you. Whether it's somebody who's online, someone in a local town, if you can find the thing that's important to them, and think about it like getting into a rowboat, if you can figure out the direction they are rowing their boat already, what's important to them? What are they doing? What kind of change are they trying to affect? And often when people already have enough money, they've reached financial independence, hopefully for most of them, it's about making an impact. Like, what kind of difference can they make for other people? And can you help them do that? Can you magnify the things they're doing? And you can do it. Can you reach out to them and magnify what they're doing in a way that you don't expect anything in return? All you're doing is just sharing, helping, doing things. And that's the kind of thing that gets people's attention, because that kind of authenticity, that kind of listening, they're paying attention to you and understanding what you're approaching, and then doing it on a consistent basis without any expectation of return, that's very rare. And if you can figure out a way to do that, you're going to catch the attention of people. You might have to be persistent, you might have to be patient, might not happen overnight, but that will get you on the radar of people who might not otherwise know what's going on with you, and then you might be able to connect with them at that point.
All right, this one hits home to me. So as Chad alluded, and you've probably heard me talk about this before, like, I didn't spend 3 hours writing a blog post, another hour and a half making a video, and then another hour uploading everything, sharing everything on social, and making it all very findable and discoverable for you to not look at the content and then come ask me the same question. And now that kind of sounds like a rude way to put it, but look, like, let's take refinancing, for example. Earlier this year, I got the same question like 7 times in a week, like, hey, should I refinance my property? And so what did I do? I wrote an article about it, and I made a video about it to answer that question for everybody. And the intent was, hey, instead of 50 people asking me if they should refinance their property, they can read this article and make their own informed decision, right? Or watch the video or the movie. We're going to start calling them movies, my YouTube movies. And so that was the intent, right? And there's still a couple people who hit me up, and I'll be like, hey, check out this article. And that's fine. But if you don't even look at the article and you're asking me specific questions about your situation, I mean, that's kind of like you're telling me that your, I don't know, 8 minutes, 15 minutes, however long the video is, or 20 minutes to read the article is more important than the 6 hours it took me to write the content, film the content, edit the content, publish the content, share the content, and message you back with a link for the content. It'd be like not reading David Green's book on Burr real estate investing that took him probably months to write, but then asking him a specific question about the Burr method that's in the book. Your $25 to buy the book is more important to you than his months of time. Anyway, so just take that into effect. If they've got a lot of content, do a quick search and see if it's on there. Or even if you can't find anything on that topic, just be like, hey, I'm looking at your topic. Do you have anything on this or whatever? Try to, if I can see that you're engaged and you're trying to learn and you're picking up what I'm putting down, I'm going to be much more likely to engage with you and much more happy to engage with you, especially if you're commenting on stuff and sharing stuff, because that helps me, that grows my platform. So, food for thought.
So when you're approaching rockstar real estate investors, which I'm air quoting, first of all, realize they're just people like you and me. They're just trying to get by, trying to build their business, trying to, add to their net worth and build their brand and whatever it is. And they have trials and tribulations and struggles just like you and I do. It might just be at another level, and that might be a few steps down the road. But number one, stop putting people on a pedestal and making them all the way up here. And, oh, I can't touch them. I can't call that person or that man or woman or whatever it is because they're all the way up here. Or examine your self-worth when in calling somebody a rock star, right? In that. So the second thing is, as I just said, they have struggles. So they have things that are holding them back. They have goals that they want to get to that they're having a problem getting to. So if you could truly seek to understand first and get to understand their goals and where they want to go, then you'll likely be able to help them get there. Or find it's okay, this person wants to buy this many mobile home parks or this many apartment buildings or wants to raise us X amount of money. Well, how can you add value to that? How can you help them get where they want to go first? And then they'll likely help you out and get where you want to go. If somebody were willing to help me, I'd gladly help them. But the bad part is that people, when people approach what you would call a rock star real estate investor, just want to pick their brain or get free advice or whatever, that's a turnoff. So you want to add value to people that are successful real estate investors. Find a way to add value, and then they'll gladly add value back. I mean, most people that are successful are very generous and are willing to give. So that's what I would do.
All right, Matt Faircloth brought up a really good point here about putting people on a pedestal, right? And there's something cool about that. Like, there's something good about putting someone on a pedestal, but not at the expense of taking yourself down a notch, right? So they're just people. In fact, I'll tell you this, and I'm not going to name names, but a successful real estate investor who most of you would know of even told me once that the reason he and I were able to click and kind of become friends is because I just talked to him like a normal dude, right? Like, I didn't put him on such a pedestal that I was nervous and I was fanboying. I just like, hey, what's up, man? Woo, high five, like, good job, whatever. Maybe not like that. I definitely internally was fanboying, but making an important distinction between just running around and fanboying and doing whatever and like just being a person, right? Be a good person. Just have a normal conversation. Like, if you consider yourself on an equal playing field and talk to someone like an equal playing field instead of fanboying or fangirling, you know, you're gonna go a lot further because it's a normal conversation for them. Because I'll tell you, being on the other side, it's kind of awkward. And I'm not nearly as big as some of these guys, but it's kind of awkward when someone fanboy, fangirls, like, just, hey, I'm Dave, you know, like, hey. So yeah, don't put them on such a pedestal that you get uncomfortable. Just, you know that they're people too. Mike DeMazzo, take it away.
How I would approach a rockstar real estate investor with value that appears to have everything they need. I definitely focus on my strengths and talent so that I could bring something to the table, because I'm sure they already know their strengths and they know their weaknesses. But if they're able to see like, oh, this guy is good at video editing, graphic design, they might want that. They might seek out like, hey, can you help me out? And, you know, just be there and be available.
Again, with the bring something to the table, right? What are my strengths? Find out what they're struggling with what their goals are, and see how you can align in such a way to help them out. So a prime example, and I used David Green earlier in this video, but he's recently started a mortgage company, right? So if you knew that you wanted to try to get a hold of him in such a way, perhaps you would want to approach him by bringing him leads for mortgages, or saying, I know this incredible loan officer who would be great and is open to coming to work with you in the Bay Area, or, you know, and so you're not asking them how you can add value and making them stop and think about what you can do for them. You're saying, hey, I know you're trying to accomplish this. Here's these 3 things that I think will help you. Here you go. And I think that is an important distinction, right? Do your own homework and research and then go after those things, as opposed to just like asking them what they need, right? Like, make it more personal. Like, you should think about it this way. If you're dating a girl or a guy or whatever, you want to get them something really special. Is it more meaningful if you're like, hey, what do you want for your birthday? Or is it more meaningful if you pay attention to hints and things when you're shopping, and maybe things that they're looking at but they can't afford or they don't want to afford, or something really personal, or maybe something really custom, and you buy that for them, right? Now they have no idea what's coming. They feel like you care because it's personalized, and there's just a lot more meaning behind it. So kind of think about it like that way, right? Now, I'm not saying you need to date the rock star, but think about it in terms of like a personalized gift or value add for that individual. It's going to mean a lot more. It's going to make a much better impression. All right, Mr. Dan Wynn, take it away.
So how to approach a rock star investor that may already feel like that you may already feel has everything that they already need. All right, so again, this is kind of going back to that story I talked about when I first started off in college, right? I learned a lesson in doing that, because when I first went on Craigslist, I went out and I put an ad that said, I want to learn real estate investing, and looking to be someone's intern, essentially something along those lines. But it had no value add to it. It just said, hey, this is me and this is what I want, right? So that's all it said. And I got very, very little response through doing that way. And then I read How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, right? And in that, one of the chapters, he talks about essentially providing value, getting your way through helping someone else get their way. I'm paraphrasing here, but something along those lines, right? And upon doing that, I went and switched my ad and I changed it to "will work for free in order to learn real estate." And then my email got flooded with a bunch of investors during that time that needed manual labor. They needed a crew to stay on job sites and do manual labor. And I was saying, hey, I'll do it for free, so it didn't affect their bottom line, right? All I wanted to do was just be on the job site. So what I did there was I found a hole, right? I found something that these investors needed during that time, right? And I went and fulfilled it. And not only did I fulfill it, I did it for free. And in that process, I got something that I wanted, which was learning real estate.
How to Win Friends and Influence People is a great book. Absolutely. In fact, I need to go read it again, but I recommend that book 100%. Definitely check it out. Yes. All right, look. For me, if I was going to approach a rock star, a lot of it's in here already. So the main thing I do is I figure out what it is that they like or what it is that they do, and I try to add value to it. I mean, even if it's just approaching someone at a conference, it's like, hey, I watched your video on this and I thought this, and this was great, but maybe you could do a little bit different here. Like, try to make an impression, right? Like, I paid attention to your content, I follow what you're doing, I value what you're doing, here's how I can help, or here's the value I can create, or hey, I heard you mention this, I know this guy who does that, here's an introduction, right? And so I think those kinds of things, being able to connect people with people who solve their problems, or being the person who solves their problem, is how you get in with those people, and just being genuine, like being yourself. All right, guys, so that was week 4. Coming up next week, we got week 5, because, you know, I know math for Marines, but 4, and then you add 1, that's 5. And let me look real quick, and I'm just gonna leave this in here so you guys know I'm a real person. So week 5 on my piece of paper is, what is your biggest mistake and how did you mitigate ever doing it again as far as real estate investing? So make sure you click the like button, the subscribe button, and the little bell so that you get notified about these next 2 weeks, because they're going to be awesome and you're going to learn a ton. Have a great day.